and gentlemen, it is a massive lineup reaction stream. It's a massive match preview stream. I feel like domestically it's easily the biggest that I've done so far this season because, pardon me, try to smash the place up. Because Celtic head to Tynecastle this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The starting 11 is out. Kickoff is in less than an hour, 3 o'clock. And a huge game. A game which could very well determine a lot by, or for the end of the season, I should say. Celtic could be down and out this afternoon, depending on your outlook on things, depending how you feel about things. But Celtic have a massive opportunity this afternoon to carry on momentum from Thursday and to steer that was a sinking ship in a completely different direction. A direction of positivity, a direction of hope. Look, are we sorted? Are we good to go? Are we absolutely hunky-dory? No, we're not. Celtic still are an absolute mess of a situation. We have a squad that's depleted. We have a manager that's only here on an interim basis till the end of the season. We still have a freeway race for a league title. Christ, even if we win today, Celtic don't go top of the league. Are things perfect at Celtic Football Club, even with 3 points this afternoon? Of course not. But it's, by all accounts, a step in the right direction and a massive leap of positivity, which we've not seen many of this year. We haven't had many massive leaps in positivity. It's always been 1 step forward and 2 steps back with this team. But if there's one man who throughout this campaign has brought one thing, and that is positivity, it's Martin O'Neill. And he has a chance once again this afternoon to prove that he's one of the greatest to ever do it, and to put Celtic back in a position where we can confidently talk about winning a league title. Of course, if Celtic don't win this afternoon, and by all accounts, Hearts have every chance today. We'll come on to the teams in a moment. If Hearts win today, we would go 9 points behind Hearts. Rangers, with even a point against Dundee this afternoon, would go ahead of us in second place. It feels like a loss would be bad. Now, I'm not going to completely pivot or do a full 180 on what I said on the Celtic the Thunder on Thursday when I done that with Tino on Thursday night. If you've watched that, you'll know what we already said about Celtic and the ramifications that follow this game. If Celtic lose, are we out? Is the title gone? I don't think so, but it certainly doesn't look good. My wording is, and I need to always be careful in the way I word this, because I never say it to demean Hearts or to put them down. They are credible. They deserve to be where they are, and they're the real deal right now. Whether they sustain it from here till the end of the season, that's a completely different conversation. But to look at them as a threat, you need to do that. They are a threat. They've got themselves here. They've got 50 points. They've only lost 2 games, 22 games in. They deserve to be spoken about with respect. But the thing that I said on Thursday is, if it was Rangers who moved 9 points clear this afternoon, it would be a different story for me. If Rangers moved 9 points clear, I think it would be curtains. I wouldn't see a way back for Celtic. But as long as we keep Rangers somewhat close to us, I think there's still a chance. I'm not saying that Hearts can't win the league when I say that, but I'm just saying that I would feel in a lot worse of a position if it were Rangers who could go 9 points clear this afternoon. But Hearts can if they win. So it's a huge afternoon. It's a huge day for Celtic. I mean, the match reaction will be one of 2 things. It'll either be complete euphoria and me proclaiming Celtic as favourites to win the league title again, or it will be complete and utter misery and realising that Celtic have a mountain to climb, like they did back in the 80s, exactly 40 years to the season when we had to make it difficult. That famous day in Love Street on the final day of the season. Could it be a repeat of that? We'll need to wait and see. Anyway, I want to get to the Q's and the A's. I want to get all your points talking about this afternoon and everything else that follows that. But very quickly, we should look over the 2 teams. Now, Hearts have announced their starting 11 as well. It's a bit of a strange starting 11. It's strange that even the Hearts fans are a little bit perplexed towards the selection this afternoon. And we'll come on to that in a moment. We may as well talk about Celtic first. That's what we're here to do. The starting 11 is on screen. It as follows. Kasper Schmeichel in goals. Julian Araujo returns into the back 4 in place of Kobe Donovan. He's joined by Trusty and Scales, Tierney as well after their magnificent performance in Bologna on Thursday. The midfield, there is a big change. Rio Hatate has been dropped, as he should have been. He has been dropped. Benjamin Nygren returns to the midfield. It's a midfield three of McGregor, Engels and Nygren for Celtic this afternoon. And then the big story of the starting 11 for me, Thomas Chavanchara is straight in to the starting 11. Thomas Chavanchara will be starting up front. And honestly, and I see Baldy Prick saying it in the chat, listen. Sorry, I had to get a gulp of Pepsi before I say this. It might be Celtic's best 11 they've fielded so far this season. But I say that with the caveat of, if Thomas Chavanchara comes on the park, or is on the park and does nothing, we could be saying we're still in the same situation as we were this time last week. So I guess there's still a ways to go before we can maybe proclaim this. But it's the first time I've looked at 11 and went, we've got a natural striker up front that there's something to maybe be excited about. We've got a back four that I trust after Thursday's performance. Araujo, who's been good since coming in as well. It's the bench, isn't it? And everybody's talking about the bench. The bench is... That it exposes why Celtic are still in a mess. And I said it at the top of the stream, even with a win today, it's not like things are hunky-dory, it's not like everything's sorted at Celtic. We still have a ways to go before this team is fine. Vinny Sinsalo, Luke McCowan, Sebastian Tenetke, Paulo Bernardo, Rio Hatate, Dane Murray, James Forrest, Colby Donovan, Tony Ralston. It's a bad day when you have two right-backs on the bench. We have two right-backs on the bench, and both of them are... One of them is not good enough. The other one is still in the first year of his professional career. So you're not in exactly a great position. But the starting 11, very happy with this afternoon. Look, I got asked... I bumped into a few people. I was out last night, and I bumped into a few supporters, a few people that watch the channel, and they asked me the same question. Do you think the new striker will play? And my exact response to that question was, there's not a world he does not start. I could not see a world in which Thomas Chavanchara didn't start for Celtic. You can't go months of begging for a striker to sign to then get one through the door and leave them on the bench. If he was on the bench this afternoon, I would have been stunned. And here we are. We have Thomas Chavanchara starting for Celtic this afternoon. I'm hoping for a big, big day for him. I've got a personal connection with him that I've all told you about through a Football Manager save. So I'm holding out for a hero. Is he going to be the fix? Nobody can answer that question. That the stats aren't pleasant reading over the last couple of years for Thomas Chavanchara, but what is pleasant reading is the fact that is a lad that has a personality and energy about him and a past that shows that he can be a good goal scorer if given the right tools. Hopefully, Dyson Maida on the left and Yang on the right this afternoon are the right tools. And let's just start his Celtic career off with a bang. There was a lot of talk about Kelechi Iheanacho, whether or not he would have been involved today. He hasn't made it, which is gutting. I would have loved to have Kelechi Iheanacho as an option today to bring on later in the game. He's obviously not ready yet. I don't know what the hamstrings are made of. My guess is Cheez-Its. He's not here. He's not in the squad. But that is your starting 11. We've got a ways to go. But I'm excited for this afternoon. Look, am I confident Celtic win? I wouldn't say fully. But I have that same air of confidence about me that I had on Thursday. There's like a perverse feeling that exists, and I go, do you know what, and especially after, and let's bring it up on screen now, especially after the team that Derek McInnes has named this afternoon. I'll bring it up on the second monitor, and if you could see here over on this side of the screen, Hearts fans seem to be a little bit, I used the word perplexed a moment ago, but a little bit confused in regards to their starting 11. Is that psychological? I don't know. Is it a case of trying to kind of batten down the hatches a little bit and just defend for their life today? I'm not sure, but Tino raised an interesting point on our podcast on Thursday when I was recording with him and saying that Derek McInnes today, he feels like will go for a far more defensive approach than he might have went if he was playing Wilfred Nancy today, if he was playing at another point in the season. And as Aaron's just said in the chat, another weird one is that Shvolov is available today for Hearts, and yet they are starting Craig Gordon. And that's not to discredit Craig Gordon by any stretch, who we all know is capable of magnificent saves. He's made the save of the season already. Like, Craig Gordon has made the save of the season. But to start him over Shvolov when he's available is weird to me. And the back four as well, very, very strange for Hearts this afternoon. So, Of course, they are without Benny Beningame, Lawrence Shankland, and Cammy Devlin. We're playing Hearts at a perfect time. Not only, and this is the thing, this game has wider context than just this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not trying to blow up things out of proportion here. I'm not trying to make things sound grander than what they are. Today isn't a chance for Celtic just to beat Hearts on the afternoon. Today is a chance for Celtic to beat Hearts psychologically for the next few weeks. Whether that's by running away with a 1-0 scrappy win, or whether that's we go here and tank them. If we beat them this afternoon, the cogs will start spinning in the head of Derek McInnes. The doubts will start to creep in. I have no doubts of that myself. Because they are without Cammy Devlin, who was on track to maybe being Scottish Premiership Player of the Year this season. They're without Lawrence Shankland, who is their talisman. You know, if they start to see that Celtic are putting a bit of form together, and they're coming to Tynecastle and winning games, the psychological aspect of football plays so much. And it plays, in a team that weren't expected to win a spoon this year, suddenly going from league title contenders to then the pressure being on, I think that Celtic have a massive opportunity here this afternoon. Not only about just beating Hearts in the afternoon, it's a chance to, there's a phrase there by Henrik McLarson in the chat, put down a marker on Hearts and make life difficult. Start to breathe down the neck of them and make life as difficult as possible. So Gordon, Halkett, McCart, Braga, Kabore, Steinvender, Milne, Findlay, Magnuson, Leonard and Kazurdis is the starting 11 for Hearts this afternoon. As I said, a stranger looking Hearts side compared to what we've been used to. Is that 4 centre-halves in the one team? Correct me if I'm wrong. Halkett, McCart, Steinvender and Findlay? All centre-halves? Very strange. As Hearts fans have reacted, it looks a bit strange. Anyway, nonetheless, look, we need to win. It's as simple as that. It all starts and ends there. It all starts and ends there. Yes, Aaron, that's how I'm pronouncing it. There you go, son. Right, questions. Let's go for the next 15 minutes or so. Get your questions in about this afternoon. Get your points in. We'll try and have as much of a discussion as we possibly can. Let me know your thoughts about heading to Tynecastle this afternoon. Are you confident? And obviously, if you haven't already, please make sure, go down below, hit like, hit subscribe. We have passed the 55.1k subscriber mark, which means the journey to 60,000 is on the way. We'll start with Svost in the chat saying they are absolutely relying on the counter-attack today. We need Austin, Maldini, Trusty on full focus. Trusty and Scales gave me every reason to believe on Thursday that we have 2 centre-halves to trust in this afternoon. Obviously, consistency has been the biggest worry with all of their team this season, and that still is a worry going into today. But they were magnificent on Thursday. They were absolutely superb. Trusty in particular, who was man of the match for me, put everything on the line, put his home Oz on the line for Celtic on Thursday night. And we need that sort of performance from they two again. Now, the big question that has obviously come up time and time again has been fatigue playing on Thursday. And I'm not buying that argument. I get it. Hearts had a midweek off. Celtic have a team that's been used to playing twice a week for the last our entire existence, basically. And this is a group of players. Callum McGregor's done it his whole career, for goodness sake. Trusty and Scales have been doing it for the last 2 seasons. So, these are all players. This is a Celtic team that are used to that. I don't necessarily buy. Of course, it plays some part in going into a game. It affects your preparation. But we're used to it, and it shouldn't be an excuse for the best team in Scotland, put it that way. So, I don't buy into all of that. I agree, he's got a big part to play this afternoon's Faust. So does Liam Scales, so does Kieran Tierney, and so does Julian Araujo. That full back four really needs to be on point today, and I'm assuming they will. Better hope that Chavanchara is fit for the 90. We don't have another striker on the bench. I am not going to lie. I'd be stunned if Chavanchara plays the full 90. I think we'll get 60 out of him, and beyond that, anything's a bonus. What will happen is Daisen Maeda will be moved to the middle at some point in this game, unless Chavanchara plays the 90. But Maeda will be moved. I would assume Tenekti will come on and play on the left-hand side. I think that's how we end today's game. I'd be stunned if he plays the full 90. But you know what? If he's got it in him, good. I would love that. Chavan Charadona says Faust. What a name that is. Let's keep going with some of the comments. A lot of points coming in. I'm trying to get to as many as I possibly can. Kerry saying 10-0, no mercy, studs on the Kinnis for bonus points. Do you know what? I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm fully on board with that state of mind. That's what I want. Kirsten asking, what positions do we still need to focus on? We still need another attacker. We need another winger. I would say that we still need another striker, but I'd be shocked if the club go for another one. And I would like to get a centre-half through the door. I'm not going to pretend just after Thursday we're fine. I mean, look on the bench. Dane Murray. That's your centre-half replacement if Trusty or Scales were to get injured. So, definitely a winger. Definitely a centre-half. And we'll go from there. I'm going to try and do an FM stream after the game, Shane. I'll let you know in the channel post section. Let's see. Max saying Hearts will be rocked if we can win today. I'm pretty confident we can get something and make a statement to the bastards that we can still go and win this league, which will be a big middle finger. Yeah, look, as I said, a huge psychological part to today's game. And I agree with what you say. Can we just call him Thomas? I'm going to call him Chavan Chara. That's his name. So, Chavan Mo Chara. Forrest ahead of an informed Yang is just ludicrous. Who's said anything about Forrest being ahead of Yang? Yang's playing. Stephen, have you been handed the wrong team, mate? I'm confused, or is somebody winding you up in the chat? I don't know. We haven't beat Hearts this season. We need to start now, says Bill Scotland. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Can we just call him Big Tommy the Tim? You can if you like, but I won't be. I'm looking forward to today's game against Hearts. Hail, hail. Good stuff, Michael. Glad to hear it. I'm glad to see that there is an air of excitement around the game. Have you downloaded the official Celtic FC app from the App Store or Google Play Store yet? If you know it scales apparently at right back, world class and everything that we do. I actually did download the app just to have a nosy, but I've not checked it once. But that's nice. Nice that they've got that right, I suppose. World class and everything that we do. It does roll off the tongue nicely. I agree. Why is Welsh not on the bench? No idea. I actually don't know. We've recalled him and stunted a great season for him because of our own ill preparations. So, very, very frustrating. Very frustrating. Kerry also saying, Chavan Chara to score more than 2. Wrap the nut in Gordon gets a 20-game ban and an instant hero is a 33-1. I'll give you a tenner. Let's see, what's my coupon for today? Adams, by the way, just to clarify, gamble responsibly. Only gamble if you're over the age of 18. Don't be letting any gamble talk take you anywhere. Here's our coupon for today, everybody. 28-1. Thomas Chavan Chara anytime. Both teams to score. Craig Halkett to be booked. Over 3 corners in the first half. Both teams to receive a card. And a full-time result to be Celtic. 28-1. Shove a fiver on that, everybody. I'll be doing that. Thank you very much, Adam. There's your picks for today. David Trail saying 3-1 Celtic in the chat. I like the confidence. I really like the confidence, in fact. A lot of people feeling like there's a challenge. Do you know what this is making me feel like, right? And I don't want... I'm getting horrible vibes about this. This is really, really, really reminding me of... Do you know what this reminds me of? Celtic and Rangers in the COVID season. Patrick Klamara came through the door. And he started against Rangers, and I was like, hat-trick. I shoved £20 on a Patrick Klamara hat-trick, and the rest is history that day. It didn't go well, and the rest was history that season. I'm getting awful vibes thinking of that afternoon, and I don't want to be on here later on after Chavan Chara has dropped a generational stinker and we've lost 2-0. You know, I'm putting it in the air, and I don't like it, to be honest. But it does. There's something that feels wrong. It almost feels like perverted in a way to be optimistic about today. It really does. But that's the vibes that I'm getting. Hatate has so one of the big talking points. I'm glad that Max has brought it up, and it's very interesting. I've not even covered it in really extensively today. But Hatate is piss poor. It seems like he's chucked it, as you said in your match reaction. I just can't be arsed for it anymore. I think that early 2020 it was not early 2020. It was this 2020-2021 season. It was the year we lost the league. It was September 2020. Baldy prick. I remember it well. I had people up the flat. I think. Actually. Maybe not, because it was COVID. Have I grasped myself in there? I don't know. Anyway, it was another time. God, the lightings went. There we go. But the point I was going to make, Hatate. We haven't spoke about Rio Hatate here. Martin O'Neill has definitely gone through him on Thursday. Like, Martin O'Neill in front of the media, Not going to be the same as Martin O'Neill behind the scenes. He would have been fuming. I am willing to guarantee, I put my leg on it, that Martin O'Neill went through him. There's a reason he's dropped this afternoon. Because he was pissed on Thursday as well. If you didn't watch the game and you seen that Hatate got a goal, don't let it fool you. He was fucking rotten. He was mince. And he got sent off, let everybody down. And, yeah, I know we signed him in early January, baldy prick. But the game that I was talking about was in September. He has been dropped today. Is Nygren an great improvement on Hatate? No, not really. I mean, he's slow, he's clunky, he doesn't add an awful lot to the midfield. What he does add is a goal threat, which is probably the most important thing we need this afternoon. But Hatate, for me, his Celtic career is very much in the air right now. I think he's got a long road to recovery if people want him here beyond the summer. I know that there's still relentless Hatate defenders out there. If you want a relentless Hatate defender, you're not going to find them on this channel. I'm done with them. And why is the lights so jarring? What's going on? Yeah, I'm kind of done with Hatate, if you're wanting the truth. And I'm not shocked that he's been dropped. He could come. He might come on today. And if he does, I hope he gives us something to be like, thank you, Rio. You know, and give us something to be proud about. But, you know, it doesn't matter how he plays between now and the end of the season, unless he becomes this world-class player again that we can rely on every week. I feel like I'm at a point with him today. So aye. Let's keep going. I've got about 10 minutes left of the stream. The lights are pissing me off. Why is everything so bright? Lights, calm down. Fucking hell. It's weird, that. It's just so jarring. Hatate relentless. I know you are, Nathan. I saw your tweet after the game trying to defend him from the pylon that he was getting. But, you know, Nathan, big fan of your stuff, mate. You know, a lot of respect for you, but the pylon was deserved. I'm not one for piling on players. But, aye. I'm glad there's a defender out there. You know, everybody needs a defender to an extent, don't they? We'll never forget 2022 McGregor, Hatate and O'Reilly. What a time. Right, let's keep going. Let's roll on. Let's move past Hatate for now, and let's move on to other. If I just Ryan, you must go to the Dagobah system. Fucking hell! Obi-Wan Kenobi's arrived in the chat. Well done, Max. You're having a good day, sir. You're having a good day. Let's end Hearts and win us a double, says Joseph. Be nice, one game at a time. One game at a time. We'll think about the Scottish Cup when it's time to think about the Scottish Cup. But I love the general notion of what you're saying. Nygren is a better option off the bench than Hatate. Look, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't think none of them particularly excite me coming off the bench. If you just want my honest truth about it, it's not like Nygren comes on the park 60 minutes into a game and I'm like, oh, here comes Nygren. And it's the same with Hatate. Like, I have a very kind of, if they do something approach to it. I'm not going to force a fake reaction to when any of these players get subbed on the pitch. I don't feel it. There's nobody on that bench that will make me go, ho, today. None. Not one. So, you know, that's what you need in players for the bench. You need players that are going to come on and get you to go, right, he can change the game. There's none on that bench for Celtic. Not one. And Hatate's the best of a pretty bad bunch, I would say. I mean, Tenekti, maybe, because of the potential fatigue late in the game. But it's a weak bench. It's a really weak bench. We need to get the job done with the starting 11 on the pitch. It's as simple as that, I think, anyway. Can Thomas do a Scott Sinclair and score on his debut? I would love that. I would absolutely love that. If he does that, I might get down to the shirt store after this and get him printed. No, actually, not another penny, of course. Well, I'll go and get fake printing in one of places like the Forge or something like that. You know? Surprised no Iheanacho on the bench. With Kenny also missing, it tells you everything you need to know about Shin when he can't get a sniff. It's almost as if Brendan was right in the first place, and I said it way back at the start of the season. But yeah, obviously Iheanacho just not ready yet, which is gutting, to be fair. Aaron's saying that Taneki is worse than Mikey Johnson. Don't even entertain that. Fair enough. I'm not going to argue with you. Svolson, what do you think has happened to Bernardo? Lack of playing time, confidence, etc. Do you want me just to tell you how it is? And it might break that. I've got 1,200 people watching, and there might be 400 or 500 that disagree with me. He's just not that good. We've arrived there now. The fact he was playing against two plumbers, no disrespect to any plumbers watching, by the way. Respect the job they do. Done a cracking job with our new bathroom, by the way. So hands, fair play to the plumbers. God bless you. The fact that he was on the park with 2 plumbers in midfield last week and failed to do anything of significance says it all. He's not that good. He's pretty shite. And I think it's time for us to end this whole romance. I mean, I've been off the train for a while. I was a big fan of Bernardo. You know, back when he first signed permanently for the club, I was really excited. I liked the look of him. He had that magnificent game against Rangers, and I thought there's a player in there. Ever since, there's been nothing to suggest that there's a player in there. Nothing. I remember somebody talking about like expected pressures the night we played Atletico Madrid. Oh, what a lot of good that done us when we got pumped 6-0. He's just not that good, I'm afraid. That's that. So, is it because of a lack of playing time? Maybe. But we can't keep having this conversation about players and going, oh, they just need a chance, they just need a chance. Then they get a chance, and they don't take it. That's on them at that point. That's not on anybody else. That's not on Martin O'Neill, that's not on Brendan Rodgers, that's not on Wilfried Nancy. That's on the player. Paulo Bernardo, he's just not that good. And whether he's another one who's mentally checked out because maybe he thinks his Celtic career is already over, then that's that. And Nathan raises a very interesting point there. Can already see him going somewhere else, being decent, everybody clamouring for him back. Oh, that's written in the stars. Do you know what it will remind me of? And once again, I might offend 300 or 400 people here. Remember Alex Valley, who played a couple of good games for Celtic, right? I thought he looked like a fine player. Nothing special, though. And, you know, a year on, you've got people on Twitter putting up tweets about how we should have never let him go and all the rest of it. What evidence did we get to suggest that Alex Valley was a must-keep player at Celtic? He was mid. He was fine. He wasn't anything incredible. And Paulo Bernardo will ultimately be at that point. You know, once again, people always bring this point up about the Portuguese under-21s captain. Oh, well done. He's got an armband. Like, anyway, I had high hopes for Bernardo. It never worked out. And this is where we are with Paulo Bernardo. It's just the truth, and I can't take any of this. Oh, we need to give him a go. He had his go against Auchinleck Talbot, and he was fucking mince, absolutely mince. And I agree with you, Baldy Prick and Aaron Smith. He could not lace Greg Taylor's boots, absolutely. And I was I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I was a big Greg Taylor lover. I was very critical of Greg Taylor at points, but Greg Taylor was twice the player that Alex Valley was at Celtic. Valley was not quality. He was anything but quality. He was fine, as I said. Like, we like romanticize certain players at this club. I do it. I romanticize Sead Haksabanovic, for God's sake. You know what I mean? He was pretty fine. He was nothing special. And that's cool if you can like a player, but I mean, we just need to be realistic when we talk about them sometimes, I think. And that's just, yeah, that's how I think about Bernardo nowadays. Anyway, McGregor did play against Talbot as well. He did, and he was better than Bernardo. So, and McGregor plays every week, you know. I mean, we're at that point where there's just no reason to sit and talk about half of these players the way that we do. Like, there's no reason that we need to sit here and talk about Paulo Bernardo every week, or Shin Yamada every week, because what is the point? Right, let's get a few more for a run off. I'm too reactive, Ryan. Well, that is the whole point in this channel, to be fair. I get it. I actually like to think that I'm not that reactionary a person. I know I am, right? I know that's people are going to go, shut up, Ryan, yeah. I'm not like a fucking Goldbridge. And I used to pull up, like, I remember on the podcast, Ryan McGinley was, I'd say him, he would be like, Yang's the best player in the world after scoring 2 goals. And I'm like, well, right, calm down a wee bit, let's calm here. But, the whole point of doing this is it is an immediate reaction. I mean, we've always got to remember that. But, like, I don't know what I'm being reactionary about with Paulo Bernardo. Like, can anybody point to me the last time that Paulo Bernardo was good? I wouldn't call any of this reactionary. This has been a sustained pattern for months now with Paulo Bernardo. I can't remember the last time he made me go, oh, they're a player. So, I don't think it's reactionary at all. Right, a few more, as I said. Let's move on from all of that chat. Let's finish up with some points about the game in general, and then we can get going. We are now half an hour away from kickoff. And I do want to cover some things. If the result doesn't go our way today, do not blame Martin O'Neill. Blame the players and the board for putting us in this position. I suppose. We'll see how the game goes. There's no point in trying to blame anybody yet when the game's not kicked off. Look, as I've said all season, results bar maybe the 33 days under Wilfred Nancy where the manager was a lot to blame, you know, you can't just, it's hard to, there's so much more to blame than one person at Celtic right now. There he is, there's the man, there's my guy, Wojciech, good to see you, brother. It's good to see you check in right before Thomas Chavanchara's debut. So Wojciech, who, in case you don't know in the chat, is Czech, and a follower and a supporter of Sparta Prague. He said this afternoon on top of his donation, "Hello Quinny, how you doing? I wish Chavanchara and Celtic good luck. Fun fact, he is the second Sparta Prague player who will play for Celtic after Jiri Jarosik." There's a name I've not heard in a while. Of course, people of a certain age will remember Jiri Jarosik. I kind of very, very much just caught the kind of Jarosik era. But there you go, second Sparta / Celtic player, and I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping that you've brought us good luck, Wojciech. I really hope you've brought us luck tonight, or today I should say, with Thomas Chavanchara. Thank you for the donation, brother. I hope you're well. I hope Sparta are going on okay. I appreciate that, mate. Armchair fair weather supporters on here slagging Celtic players need to support the players instead of slagging them. If you think the Portuguese under-21's captain can't play, you're a mug. What, just because they play for the club, they're immune to criticism? Is that what you're saying? And just because he's the captain of an under-21 side? I'm not saying he can't play football, but he's been pretty mince for Celtic, and everybody can see that. But just because somebody plays for Celtic... Look, I want everybody to do well at Celtic, but it doesn't mean you just happy clap. He tried, he kicked the ball, like, you know, they're paid thousands of pounds a week. I'm pretty sure that they should be fucking fine to kick on with a wee bit of flack coming their way off of supporters. And it doesn't matter, like, I'm a season ticket holder, I go to every away game that I can go to, I travel across Europe to watch Celtic. But I wouldn't, you know, if my dad watches the games on the couch every week, he's got every right to slag any player he fucking wants. You know, if you want to slag a player, slag them. If I agree, if I disagree, you know. Jarosik in Europe, there's a shout, Quinny. He's 24 playing for the under-21s. Exactly. It'll be funny if we win and get it. Oh, well done. It's Hearts despite dishing out to us all season. Do you know who I'm looking forward to seeing after this? Depending on how things go. Either way, I'm looking forward to seeing what he says. Mr. Cameron of STV Radio. Mr. Ewan Cameron. Very intrigued to hear what he'll be saying after today's game. Very intrigued to see what he'll be saying. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to wrap up today's stream because it's almost kickoff time. Got to go down, get myself ready. And hopefully when I'm on here for the match reaction, we're all smiles and all positive, because it is a huge, huge afternoon for Celtic. So, ladies and gentlemen, and on, by the way, before we go, Dr. Pepper, baby, it's good and nice. Do. Right, take care, everybody. I'll see you in the match reaction later on. Hail, hail. And just get right fucking into them, Celtic. You know, just get fucking right into them. See you next time.